What's going on YouTube? This is Markus Turner, aka Chart Slayer, and what we will be going over today is how to do top-down analysis.
Wow, deputy.
So, what I'm going to do is I'm pretty much going to show you guys how I came up with Euro JPY on an uptrend and how to actually break down charts so you can actually elevate your trading and actually get into nice quality, high quality percentage trades. So let me go ahead and break that down for you. So I'm going to go ahead and clean everything off, right? And I like to start on the weekly chart. I like to literally break things down on the weekly. You can actually start on the monthly if you want, but for me, I like starting on the weekly. That's just my preference. So what I like to do on the weekly is I like to just look and identify the trend, right? I just literally like to look and identify the trend or pay attention to the trend. So what we see here already is that we see a downtrend. This looks like a downtrend. So we've already identified that we are overall in a downtrend. Or you can even break it down even further, right? You could break it down to we're in a downtrend here because we technically broke structure here. This is why this is moving like this, because we broke structure in this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down, and in this case, in Euro JPY, we've identified that we are in a downtrend, so we should be taking only sales, right? But there's exceptions to the rule, right? There's always exceptions to the rule. There's always ways you can bend the rule. We should be taking sales pretty much every time price comes at this trend line. So at this point, we should be taking sales in this area. So it seems to me that we have a buying opportunity. This is where exceptions to the rule happen. You have a buying opportunity to this trend line, if that makes sense. We're selling every single time it touches this trend line, but price has to move up to this trend line. So we have a buying opportunity for about 370 pips to that area. Nobody's just going to, ignore the 370 pips. Why not capitalize on that uptrend, right? Even though we know long term that this is going to be in a sell. So what I do is I also pay attention to candlesticks on the weekly, right? We see a huge engulfing candle here, meaning that there's a lot of momentum in this area. And it looks to me that we're in a correctional phase, right? So I'm already done with my weekly. We figured out there's an engulfing candle. There's a change of direction. We've identified touches to the trend line and what trend we're actually in. So now from there, we just go on the daily, right? And on the daily, we see another trend. What we see is this, like I said, this up move here. We see a minor uptrend on this long-term downtrend. Excuse me. So what we want to do is we want to actually capitalize off this. How do we capitalize off this up move? Well, how I trade and how the market moves is impulse, corrections, and continuations, right? What I do is I identify which of these three, three parts that we are in this market, right? Are we in a impulse? Are we in a correction? Or are we in a continuation phase, right? And as soon as you identify this is when you're actually able to capitalize. So to me, what's happening is we are actually in this correctional phase, right? This is where we are right now. We are in a correctional phase. So on the daily, I see a correction, so I can anticipate a continuation to this upside, to this trend line. So then when we actually get to the trend line, we will be watching price, right? We will be watching price. So what I'm going to type in is watch price here for sellers, right? You can watch price here for sellers so we can actually catch the move to the downside. So I hope you guys understand what I'm saying so far. So the question is how do we actually enter, right? So what I would do I have indicators that I usually use to confirm, but without those indicators, all I do is identify the same patterns. In the smaller time frame, I do the same thing on a larger time frame. Identify my trend, identify what parts I'm in the market. So in this case, we already identified our trend. So now I'm just identifying what parts we are in the market. So are we in an impulse phase, a correction phase, or a continuation phase on a smaller time frame, right? I see that we're in a correctional phase. So all I'm waiting on is a break of structure in this area. All I'm looking for is a break of structure in this area. Or you can use your rules to your strategy or whatever the case may be. But without the indicators, I would be looking for a break of structure in this area. Or you can go by the break of the trend line, right? But neither here nor there. This is what I'm looking for when it comes to trading and actually catching this move to the upside. Because we know long term on the weekly, we're going to be catching this drop. So if you want to get even more tighter when it comes to entries, you could have taken it as soon as it breaks, like I said, this trend line break, or you can maybe catch it after it breaks this high instead of waiting to break that high. It just depends on how exactly you want to trade and how exactly you want to capitalize off this move. So let's just go ahead and break it down in a nutshell. What did we do and how are we entering? What we did first is go on the weekly, identify our trend, identify our bias on what we're looking for, long-term sell, potential buying opportunity. Then we go on the daily, identify our uptrend for that buying opportunity. And then on the 4 hour, we just also identify what 3 parts we are in the market. As well on the daily, we identify that as well. And then we wait for break of structure for our entry. So I hope this really helped you guys out, because you can do this for any pair. Actually, I'll do another pair just to break it down even more, right? So let's break it down, because it's not the same for every pair. So I'm going to go on the weekly, right? I'm going to go on the weekly and identify the trend that we are in at this moment. So at the moment, I see a uptrend or a break of structure. So we broke this downtrend, right? So now we're in downtrend structure, right? So let me go ahead and draw also this downtrend, because now we are in downtrend structure. And at this moment, let's go ahead and draw in this horizontal line, because this is a major level. Why? Because we have 2 touches here, right? We have 2 touches at this level. So this is a major level. It looks like it's double bottom, like it's creating a double bottom at this level and pushing up. So we've created a break of structure on the trend. So we're no longer in this uptrend. We're now creating downtrend structure, right? Then, so what I'm going to go after that is go on our daily and identify this uptrend, right? So we are in this uptrend on a smaller time frame. And I'm also going to draw this line right here, because this is also a major level, because I see I see important levels here. I see touches in this area. So I know that when it comes to this level, we have a potential selling opportunity back to this downside, because it looks like it's starting to consolidate in these areas. So after I do that, right, and I want to make sure I break these things down slow, all we did is identify our support and resistance and our trends. That's all we did so far. Support and resistance and our trend lines. So after that, I'm going to find out how to enter, right? I'm going to figure out what parts of the market are we in. So right now we're in the continuation phase. Why? Because you have this impulse. We already had our correction, and now we're in continuation. So in this case, all I would be waiting on is a correction again, wait for it to drop, and then for it to come back up. That's all I'm waiting for. And then you have options depending on how you entered into the market. If you go by breaking structures, if you go by breaking trend lines, whatever the case may be, you are looking to enter by these areas. So I hope I really broke these things down as simple as I can. I hope you guys can really understand how the market works, and I hope you guys can really capitalize off this movement. This is Chart Slayer here, and I'm over and out. Upper echelons only, you guys.
and you know I am persistent. And you know I got a mission. And you know I cannot miss it. Yeah, I want that Rari coupe.